Today, we're going to talk about something that's, well, a little bit uncomfortable, but it affects all of us pretty much every day. It's called the bystander effect, and it has a huge impact on what we do or don't do at work, in public, and everywhere in between.
So let me ask you something, and be honest with yourself. When you see something happening that you know is wrong, maybe someone's getting picked on, or you see a decision being made that's just off, do you step in? I think most of us, deep down, we like to think, yeah, of course I would. But, and here's the kicker, the research tells a very different story. The truth is, when we're in a group, something strange happens. Our natural instinct to help, it just kind of shuts down. And the crazier part? The more people there are, the less likely any single one of us is to do anything.
So here's what we're going to get into. First, we'll tackle this myth of helping. Then we'll dig into the psychology of why we don't act and the very real cost of that silence, especially at work. But we're not going to leave it there. We'll talk about the solution, what it means to be an upstander, how to build something called a blue bus culture, and I'll even give you a simple tool to help you speak up.
Okay, so let's start with this idea, the myth of helping. We all have this image of ourselves as the hero of our own story. We believe we have the courage to do the right thing. But the reality is, we really underestimate how much social pressure can make us freeze up. Now, it's super important to get this. This isn't about you being a bad person. It's about being a human person. We are literally hardwired to look at what everyone else is doing to figure out what we should be doing. It's a survival instinct that can seriously backfire in the modern world. And yeah, there's a name for this whole thing, and it's the heart of our conversation today. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of the bystander effect.
It breaks down like this. The more people who witness something bad, the less personal responsibility each person feels. We just assume, oh, someone else has got this. Psychologists call it the diffusion of responsibility. And trust me, it is incredibly powerful.
To really understand just how powerful this is, we've got to look at one of the most famous and, frankly, mind-blowing experiments ever done on this topic. It shows perfectly how our brains just flip a switch when we're in a group.
The setup was dead simple. You have volunteers come in, they sit in a room to fill out some boring questionnaire. But then, smoke starts seeping in from under a door. The big question for the researchers watching was, what happens next? Who does what? And the results? They're just staggering. When a person was in the room all by themselves, 75% of them, 3 out of 4, got up and reported the smoke pretty quickly. But when you put them in a group of 3, that number completely cratered. Less than 5% said anything. Let that sink in. Most people just sat there looking at each other as the room filled up with smoke. So why? What is going on in our heads? Well, we're all looking at each other for clues. And if nobody else is panicking, our brain goes, maybe this isn't an emergency. Maybe I'm just overreacting. I don't want to be the one who looks stupid. So we take everyone else's silence as proof that our own eyes are lying to us. Okay, so that's a lab experiment. But what happens when you take this out of the lab and put it into the workplace? Well, this is where the cost of silence becomes incredibly high. When people are too scared to speak up, you get this culture of silence. And what happens then? Bullying and harassment just get a free pass. Terrible, unethical decisions get made because nobody wants to be the one to rock the boat. And the very foundation of a great team, that feeling that it's safe to speak up, it just gets completely destroyed. And look, this isn't just about company culture or being a nice place to work anymore. This is a legal issue. In Australia, for instance, new laws around respect at work and psychosocial safety mean that employers have a legal duty to proactively stop this from happening. Creating a culture where people feel safe to speak up is no longer optional. It's the law.
So if being a bystander is the default, if it's the problem, what's the fix? Well, it's about making a choice, a very conscious choice to become an upstander. That's the antidote.
The difference really couldn't be simpler. A bystander is passive. They wait, they hope, they assume someone else will handle it. An upstander is active. They choose to do something. They choose to question things, even when it's uncomfortable. And, being an upstander isn't always about some big, heroic movie moment. It's usually about small, everyday choices. It's the choice to say, hey, I'm not sure about this. It's the choice to share a difficult truth. Or sometimes it's as simple as offering help to someone who looks like they need it, even if they haven't asked. But here's the thing. One brave person can only do so much.
For upstanders to really make a difference, you need the right environment. You need the whole organization to build a culture that doesn't just tolerate this behavior, but actually encourages and protects it. I love this 3 buses metaphor because it makes it so clear. You've got your red bus culture. That's all about do it because I said so. That's a breeding ground for bullying. Then you have the green bus. That's do it because we have to. It's all about compliance, not rocking the boat, which is basically the perfect home for bystanders. The goal, the place you want to be, is the blue bus. That's where people say, I'll do it because I want to. That's a culture built on trust, and that's where upstanders thrive.
And the fuel that powers that blue bus? It's something called psychological safety. It's this simple but profound belief that you can speak up, you can share an idea, ask a tough question, admit you made a mistake, without being punished or humiliated for it. Without that, you'll never have a culture of upstanders. It's absolutely essential. So this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually do it? Let's talk about a really practical tool that anyone can use to be a more effective upstander.
It's an acronym called SELL. Think of it as a shared script for challenging something without being confrontational. You just ask 4 simple questions. Is this safe? Is it ethical? Is it legal? And this last one is my favorite. Is it lifting the lid? That's just a fantastic way of asking, is what we're doing here actually making things better, or are we just papering over the cracks? It turns a potential argument into a simple question.
Because in the end, that's what this all boils down to. It's about that one moment, that choice to take ownership, to step up, and to face an uncomfortable truth because you know it's the right thing to do. And so that brings us right back to where we started. Now that you know about the powerful forces that are constantly pushing us all to just stand by and do nothing, you have the power to make a different choice. So the next time you're in a situation and you see something that just doesn't feel right, what are you going to do?